The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Reaper Apparel Company. Reaper Apparel offers a casual line of superb fit, finish, and comfort. We design for those who refuse to die slowly and choose to live untamed. For those who aren't afraid to face the dark, for the ones that thrive in it, and for those who can appreciate life through a grim lens. That's Reaper Apparel Company. Go to the link in the description of this episode, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Tactical Brotherhood, all American-made apparel, which helps support the Second Amendment. You can also find all this in the description of this episode with the link Tactical Brotherhood. Part of every proceed does go to helping veterans. It is a very good cause. All American-made products made right here in Minnesota. Go and check them out. Use the promo code PATRIOT15 to get 15% off your purchase. The Ride Home Rants podcast wants to thank you for listening and let everybody know that we do offer monthly subscriptions to help support the show in other ways other than listening and downloading each episode. What you will get with each subscription is you will get bonus episodes that aren't released to everybody. You will also have a chance to ask me anything each and every month where I will put out a special episode just to answer your questions. You will also get more exclusive content that is not released to everybody. To subscribe to the show, go and click on the link in the description of this episode, and I look forward to your added support and to help us keep this show going. The Ride Home Rants podcast is also brought to you by Buddy's Beard Care. Buddy's Beard Care provides premium men's grooming products at an affordable price. Products are made in Ohio, and Buddy's Beard Care supports local. The majority of our supplies are from other Ohio-based companies. You can find them on social media at Buddy's Beard Care or online at buddysbeardcare.com. Use the promo code BONO15 and he will save you 15%. I've been using these products for a little over 6 months now, and my beard has never felt healthier. It has never grown faster, and according to my wife, it has never felt softer. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by former guest of the show in Matt Landowski in Sweet Hands Sports. Elevate their game with Sweet Hands Sports. Our sports gloves are designed for champions, providing ultimate grip and durability. Achieve greatness with every match. Choose Sweet Hands Sports for the winning edge. Grip your victory at sweethandsports.com. Use the promo code BONO10 and he will save you 10%. He has sent me a complimentary pair of golf gloves. They are so comfortable, durable, and breathable. You won't find a better pair of gloves out there. Again, sweethandsports.com, promo code BONO10. Lastly, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Deemed Fit, a clothing company from first responders for first responders. These products are so comfortable. They look great. They have great messages on them. They are provided to support first responders, especially those who worked through COVID. All of the proceeds are going to helping veterans and first responders with their mental and physical health. This is a great cause. I support anything that has to do with our first responders and our veterans. Again, deemedfit.co, promo code Mike Bono will save you 20%. Now, let's start the show.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Ride Home Rants. This is your special guest host, Fitty, and today we bring you the All Things Casino and Cards episode of the show with three fantastic guests. The big three are here today to talk about all things casinos and all things cards. These guests come to you from literally all over the world, and as they have traveled and they've experienced a lot of great things with casinos and playing cards and all that different type of lifestyle, they're going to bring all of those experiences to the show today to talk about this with all of you listeners out there. So without further ado, we're going to have the guests introduce themselves. They're going to tell you their name, if Pennsylvania, or if they were in Pennsylvania, what would be a better place to live in Erie or Pittsburgh, because they are vastly different, but both great. And then what's a better breakfast sausage, Lynx or patties? And that question is in honor of Taco Bob, and that's a story for another day. But first on the panel, we're going to have introduce himself is Mr. Cleveland, West Side Bill. Take it away.
What's going on, everybody? My name's Bill. Live in Cleveland, like Fitty was saying. So if we're going Pittsburgh versus Erie, out of pure principle, I have to go Erie. I think Fitty's going to love this one, but I like the water as well. They're up on the water up there. It's pretty. I've been there a few times and hate Pittsburgh. So we'll say Erie on that one. And then for the sausage, we're going to go Lynx, I think. Patties, I feel like they're variable. You get good and bad. Lynx, you kind of know what you're getting.
Okay. Okay. Very cool. We're going to go Mr. Lake County himself. John, you're up next.
Hey there, everyone. This is John from Willoughby Hills, and I would lean towards Presque because I've been there several times, and I like Presque. The casino out there is really cool, very intimate, friendly, cheap table limits, and they even have a thoroughbred racetrack there, which is really cool. So I would lean that way. Nothing against Pittsburgh, but I would lean towards Erie. And as far as the sausage goes, I definitely have to say patties. I think those are great. You can make sandwiches out of them, put a little cheese and butter on it. Life is good. So that's my spiel.
Okay. And John tying in a little bit about the casino, making sure that everybody knows that Erie's casino is better than Pittsburgh's casino. But we'll talk about that here in a little bit. And then last but not least, the owner and typical host of Ride Home Rants, Bono. Take it away.
Mike Bono here. I got to go Pittsburgh. I'm a huge Pittsburgh fan. Love the city of Pittsburgh. Everything about it, all the sports teams, the Strip District. Yeah, you can't go wrong. All the little suburbs of Pittsburgh. Nothing against Erie. Just a huge Pittsburgh fan myself, and I can't say Erie like everybody else on here. Even though everyone's near Cleveland and kind of going on what Bill, hate everything about Cleveland sports team. So, and by principle, I have to Pittsburgh. And when it comes to links or patties, it's situational for me. I'm more of a links guy, but if I get pancakes or something, you got to put the patties in between the pancakes, get a little bit of a mix in there. But sheer principle, I'll go links, but it's situational for me.
Okay. And that's so funny because people are so torn on that. Like, is the links or patties, the better option? For me, I'm gonna say links. I just like links better. I don't know. It's like to me, I think a taste thing, even though it might just be psychological. But to me, I think links are better. And that question was brought to you by none other than Taco Bob many years ago when we were at Denny's. He asked a waitress that. But again, that's a whole story for another day. And then, of course, I'm going to pick Erie because I've traveled to Erie a bunch, been in Erie, love Erie. It's one of the most underrated, I think, places anyone can go to. So definitely visit Erie. But, Pittsburgh is cool. It has its cool things, too. But Erie, you're on the water, man. So you really can't complain there. So we're not here to talk about Erie, although we should do a show about all things Erie. That would be pretty cool. We're here to talk about all things casino and cards, though, with the terrific three guests that we have with Bill, John, and Mike. So when we answer these questions with our guests, we're going to go John will be first, and then Bill, and then we're going to round it out with Mike. So, John, we're going to start with you. Can you name all the casinos that you've ever been to?
Boy, the list is long, especially when it comes to Vegas. I remember going to Vegas for the first time. I think I stayed at the Imperial Palace, even stayed at the Desert Inn, and that's torn down. Imperial Palace torn down, but Mirage, some of the bigger casinos like Caesars, even been to Jersey for Atlantic City, and Canada, been to even Mountaineer, and Wheeling, West Virginia, just a crazy amount. Ever since I turned 21, been going to casinos, and Vegas is my favorite, no doubt about it. The atmosphere in Vegas is just incredible, and I love March Madness. So definitely, that's Vegas is king.
Okay. And you mentioned in the intro you've been to the Erie one as well. Have you ever been to the Pittsburgh one, John?
No, but I've been to Pittsburgh several times. Didn't gamble there. I know they've got what by the Incline. There's that's where their big casino is at by the Incline, I believe.
Yeah, it's right by the stadium and the stadiums and the science center down there in Pittsburgh. So
Yeah,
it's right over that way on the North Shore.
probably similar to like the downtown Cleveland one. I've only been there a couple times. The table limits are too high. I like low table limits and just a hustle and bustle, and that's why I lean Presque when it comes to that. But definitely Pittsburgh, beautiful down there. The PNC Park, if I think that's what it's called, the PNC Park, the baseball stadium, beautiful. Probably my favorite of all major league parks.
I think we talked about that on a baseball show. Everybody said PNC's was great. But Bill, what about you? Can you name all the casinos that you've been to, or at least the areas?
In short, no, I can definitely not name all of them. Mainly Vegas. I've been a couple times to Vegas, been up and down the strip, old Vegas. Wouldn't really know exactly where to begin. All the normal ones, all the small ones along the old Vegas strip, and kind of further out, even off the strip as well. But as far as outside of Vegas, been to the one in Cleveland, the Jack, probably a few too many times. After some late night outs, getting over there. I have been to the Pittsburgh one, actually, Fitty. Nice casino. They have a hotel attached right to it, which is obviously convenient there. Been to the one in Erie. Been down to the Fort Lauderdale, the one with the big guitar, I think down in Hollywood down there. Been to across the border over into Canada at Niagara Falls. Been up there. Quite a few, honestly. So been to quite a few in Vegas, out of Vegas, and a lot of nice ones for sure.
Okay. And what about you, Bono? Round us out on this.
I've been to a good bit, not as many as those guys. Haven't been across the border, but Wheeling Island, the Downs in West Virginia. I've been to Mountaineer in West Virginia, Atlantic City. Been there. The Hollywood Casino in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. It's actually where my wife and I had our honeymoon at 4 years ago. Now, I love them all. They got pretty small limits, like John was saying at the tables. I like that. I'm not a huge high roller when it comes to being at the casinos. Never been to Vegas. Not a big Vegas guy myself. Haven't really had a desire to go to Vegas. Just heard a lot of bad things. But yeah, I haven't been to as many of these guys, but I've been to a lot, and I've liked all of them. Lawrenceburg, definitely one of my favorites. Hotel attached right there. Basically, you drive there, you park once, and you never have to leave. Even the restaurants are all right inside there. We'll get into that here a little bit later too as well. I know we're probably going to talk food because two paisans running a show.
Yeah, no, that's a good point, Mike, and it actually brings me into the topic number 2. It's the best casino you've ever visited. So, Mike, we're going to just stick with you, and then we'll go John and Bill on this. Is the one in Lawrenceville the best casino you've been to?
So far, yes. Just the sheer convenience of everything. Hotels right there, attached to it. You never have to leave. And just the atmosphere around it. For me, they allow smoking in there too as well. Not a lot of places do. I'm still a smoker, so that's convenient for me. I don't have to go to a completely separate place in the casino and feel alienated because I want a cigarette or have to go outside. So that, or the convenience factor for that, I mean, but yeah. But yeah, Lawrenceburg, and adding on to the nostalgia of that's where my wife and I had our honeymoon. That takes the cake for me.
Sure. Sure. So, John, what is that one casino that you would say you've traveled and you've been to a lot of places, as you've mentioned, all over the country with it, and even really the world going into Canada. But what's that one casino that stands out that you can say was the best one you visited?
Boy, that's a tough one. Trying to just gather my thoughts and turn the clock back, but most recently, this was one that I kind of didn't even mention at the beginning because I was just throwing some names out there. But there's one off the strip called South Point that is known to gear themselves to sports or horse racing people because they have their horse racing book and like a sports book. And there's like little condos around that casino that a friend of mine stayed at, and it's really a cool place. And they have these massive halls upstairs. And like I said, March Madness is my favorite time to go to Vegas because it's from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And they cater to that big crowd. Like you can like shoot free throws upstairs. You can get massages. They give out free booze. It's really a cool place, kind of a hidden treasure, I would say, out in Vegas, because it's away from all the hustle and bustle on the strip. You know, I do like the strip. There's a time and place for the strip, but I do like casinos that are away from all that madness. So South Point in Vegas, I would lean that way just because how they treat you for the sports betting aspect of March Madness.
Sure. No, that's definitely awesome. What about you, Bill? What's that one that you would say is the best one you've ever visited?
I'm gonna cheat a little bit, and I'm gonna give you a Vegas one and a not Vegas one. I think
Okay.
does casino just so many and so different that I'll pick a strip one. I'll go Caesars Casino. They're all gigantic. They're all beautiful on the strip there, but Caesars was very grand, pretty mainstream, but I mean, a lot going on, hustle and bustle anytime you're in there. Just enjoyed that one a lot. Spent a lot of time there when I was there. So we'll say Caesars, but anyone in Vegas you go to, I think you'll be impressed. And then outside of Vegas, I really want another one similar to John didn't mention at the beginning, but it's like a casino and golf resort up in Verona, New York, kind of upstate New York area, past Syracuse from here. Went there with a couple buddies, spent I think 2-3 days up there, golfed a little bit, gambled a little bit. It's a big resort up there. It's called Turning Stone. Really enjoyed it. Casino was great. It was pretty elaborate. Had all the different type of games. The restaurants there were incredible. There, the resort, they had some good nightlife and golf. You walk out of the back door, and there's a couple beautiful golf courses there. So, cheating a little bit on that one, going with two, but Turning Stone, casino and resort in general out there, I definitely recommend it.
Okay. Okay. Now, for people that know me, no, I'm not really a gambler. I've only been to a couple of casinos, but I didn't mention that the casinos I've been to Pittsburgh, not to gamble. I went with somebody to place a bet on the Super Bowl one time. I've been to Erie one time on vacation about like 10 years ago, which was a cool experience in there. And then I've just been in the one in Northfield near Cleveland, the small one for an event. So those are the ones that I've been in. But John, we're going to go back to you on this. What is your favorite card game in the casino?
Boy, there's only been one time of all the years going to Vegas that I ever played cards, and it was in the craze of poker on ESPN and all that. So I'm not much of a poker player when it comes to Vegas, but I did do it one time, and I absolutely just was awful because I had one good hand and I let the whole world know I had a good hand. I bet too much and everyone folded. So that's the only thing I can kind of remember, that we waited a long time to get on a table with me and two other guys. And I was nervous because I've never really done it before, at least in that type of atmosphere. But I will always remember how I had like three of a kind and I just absolutely bungled the whole thing. I didn't lure anyone in to build up the pot. I just immediately bet like a fool. And I kind of just that'll stay with me.
Okay. Well, how about we'll say this, and what's your favorite game to play in the casino? We'll switch it up a little bit. So what would you say to that one, John?
Well, I honestly, Johnny, I don't really get into that because I know, I grew up just playing simple jacks or better trips to win, 5 card stud, 7 card stud. So I'm more of a poker with friends, quarter, 50 cent ante type stuff. Not really into the whole Vegas atmosphere when it comes to that. That's
Sure.
boys, that's out of my league. So I couldn't even honestly tell you what that I would even go towards. But when I
Okay.
play, it was like poker. It was just simple poker, best hand, all that. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay. All right. Bill, what about you on this one?
This one's blackjack for me all day. I don't really play a ton at the casino either. When I go, I'm just gonna go play blackjack. I don't really do much with the slots. I don't really. I know how to play poker, play with somebody similar to John, but it's blackjack for me. That's where I go to. They take all my money most of the times I show up there, and I have a blast doing it. So blackjack's the one for me.
Okay. How about you, Bono?
Blackjack all day. I'm a huge blackjack guy. Uh, love it. I do all right. I typically break even. But kind of like what John was saying, I start to get a couple good hands, and then I'm just betting stupidly and just kind of losing quickly. But blackjack's all day. I dabble a little bit in poker, but not much. It's blackjack.
Okay. Okay. No, that's fair. So we're gonna go to the next one then. And we kind of hinted on it just a little bit. Slot machines. Are they overrated or are they underrated when you go to casino? John, what are you saying? Are slot machines overrated or underrated?
I think they're overrated. It's a poor person's game. I mean, you might get lucky. Those things are all programmed. You just got to time it right. I think the longer you sit at those things, you are just going to burn money. And I've seen a lot of people spend way too much time at slots. It's not a bad idea if you're walking around and you're down on your luck and you might have a couple of bucks in your pocket and you're walking to your dinner reservations and you throw maybe 5, 10 bucks in and see what happens. But in the early days, I was a degenerate. I would gamble on just about anything. So I did sit and rot on a couple of chairs at some slot machines, but I've learned the lesson of not thinking I'm going to hit it big with a slot machine. So overrated, in my opinion.
Okay. Bill, what are you saying? Overrated or underrated for slot machines?
Overrated on my side as well. I have played a fair share in my day as well. Don't really play much anymore, but I feel like I never win on them. So I don't know what the odds are. I don't really do the math on it, but most times I go, if I put 50 bucks in or whatever, I typically walk out with nothing. So I'll say overrated. I've seen some people hit jackpots. Hasn't been me really, but I can see a little bit of the hype behind them. Obviously, like John was saying, if you get in there at the right time, you can hit a big one, but they usually take my money as well. So
Okay. Bono, round us out on this one. Overrated or underrated for the slot machines?
I think they're correctly rated. I don't think they're overrated or underrated. I've hit on them a couple of times. I typically start my night at the casino throwing 20 bucks into a slot machine just to see what happens. A couple of times I've gone in and I've hit. Quick little story. We were waiting. My wife and I were waiting on a couple of friends to show up at the casino, and I think we were at Mountaineer, and walked in. It was right by the door. We threw a couple bucks in because they were just parking and waiting. I was like, well, let's just wait here, and hit for 150 bucks off the first spin, and didn't realize it. Took my wife to be like, do you know how much you're winning right now? I was like, I have no idea. Honestly, I'm just kind of pushing buttons at this point in time, and was playing with house money for the rest of the evening with some buddies and some friends out there. So I think they're correctly rated. I mean, they're not overrated or underrated, but they're right where they should be.
Okay. Okay. So next one, I'm actually curious here, because I was definitely in the negative on this. I didn't win anything. But what's the most you guys ever won, say at the casino or playing cards or some type of game? gambling. What is the most you've ever won? I'll let you kind of think about this for a second. And I've never won. I've lost every time, and I like my money too much to ever lose again. So that's why I stopped going to the casino. But that's about as much as I've won. Is about negative $200 on my trip to Erie. So, John, do you have? Can you think back? Was there a time that really stands out when you hit it big?
Yeah, just thinking about that, it was horse racing actually that I hit on. A friend of mine that I went to plenty of casinos, he is pretty good at doing horses, pick fives, pick fours, and all that. And I think we might have been out in like Gulfstream in Florida or something, and we hit one for maybe over a grand. That was pretty cool. I think it was like a pick five or a pick six, and those are not easy to hit, even if you bet all favorites. So you got to splatter in there longer shots, and I didn't think it would happen. It comes down to the last race or two. You're thinking something's going to happen, that you're going to get beat by a nose, but we pulled it out, and that was a pretty cool feeling. And I had him go up there. He signed a tax paper because I think once you hit a certain amount, you got to claim taxes, and he took one for the team and took that part of it. But that was a pretty cool experience.
Okay, okay. Bill, what about you? Is there a time that stands out for you?
At the casino, not really. I mean, I've gone in and usually my thing is I'll take a couple $100, and I'll play and typically lose a couple $100. But times I've come up, maybe 400 or 500 or something along those lines, which is great. And anytime I leave the casino even or up, it's a great night. So I honestly I don't have one that I went up a ton on. If it was outside of the casino, I did like a block pool with some buddies one time, and I think I hit a couple grand on that. It was decent sized block pool. So that's gambling, I guess, a little less casinos, but that was the biggest one that I can remember outside the casino. In the casino, definitely just a few hundred, maybe.
Okay. And actually, I take that back. I lost at the casino, but one time I was doing these like pull off tickets at the Stark County Fair. No, the Stark County Italian Fest. That's what it was. Maybe like 15 years ago or something. And there was like these pull tabs. Somehow I won $150. So I was eating some cavatelli on like a hot Sunday afternoon, sweating profusely, and I'm playing this game, and I won $150. So it paid for my cavatelli, paid for my gas. I had an even better time after that. So that's pretty much the only time I think I ever won some type of game of chance. But Bono, what about you? What is that one time that stands out as your like biggest win at a casino or any type of gambling?
Um, both are actually the same amount, which is weird. But it was nothing to the level of John or Bill. But I walked out with $650. The same night I hit at the slot machine to start out with the same friends. We walked in with 200. We walked out with 600, and it was fun. Played a lot of. I played roulette for the first time, and my buddy was just shocked. He was just like, nobody does this good on their first time ever playing roulette. He was teaching me how to play while we were playing, which was the weirdest situation ever. But another time when daily fan, this was forever ago, probably 10, 15 years ago, when daily fantasy was becoming a thing, threw a lineup together on baseball, and it was when Max Scherzer pitched his almost perfect game with like 20 strikeouts or something crazy like that. I completely, it was like a dollar bet, and I won 650. So I mean, combined 1,200, $1,300. I've won with between the two of them, but yeah, both times I did about $600. Has been the most I've won at the casino or gambling.
Oh, okay, okay. So next, I'm kind of curious here to hear from you guys. And as people that are familiar with entertainment and they go to casinos know, especially like in Atlantic City and Las Vegas, but other places too. The casinos are used as other avenues for people to get in there, right? So such as like boxing, concerts, performances, stand-up comedy. Bono can definitely tell you about that. Do you guys like that casinos really anywhere are putting on these, combat sports, these concerts, these performances, these comedy acts. Do you like that personally with the casinos? Like, what are your thoughts about that? And have you ever actually went to a performance at a casino? John, we'll start with you.
Oh yeah, I that draws me to Vegas for sure. I've seen quite a few shows in my time. I think it's a great idea. Kind of breaks the monotony of hearing slot machines walking up and down the aisles. It kind of just takes you to a different place. I can remember seeing George Carlin in Vegas before. I went to the Mirage to see, I'm a big Beatles fan, and they do a show called Love, and that's pretty cool. It's that Circus Delay or whatever style show. I'm trying to think what else I've seen out in Vegas. Uh, but those are the ones that stand out. Carlin and the Beatles show, and other than that, I don't go out there for the shows, but in the early days it was appealing. Barry Manilow, Wayne Newton, all those guys, the old school guys, didn't get a chance to see them. But yeah, I could definitely see going to shows. I think that's a good relief from the gambling.
Sure. Okay. Bill, what about you? What are your thoughts about this? And have you ever seen any of these performances or comedy shows or anything like that at a casino?
Yeah, similarly, I love it too, like John was saying. I love a place you can come, hotel, casino, shows, fights, pool, great restaurants, great bars. I love a place like a resort similar, like I was talking about Turning Stone earlier. Obviously, out in Vegas, there's countless of them out there, but I think bringing all the entertainment together is awesome. So go a little bit broad on the shows, but I have seen a couple fights out in Vegas. Shows. I think I saw a Cirque du Soleil out there one time, and it was awesome. I think it is, like John was saying, a good kind of break up and it's something different to do out there. If you sit at the Blackjack table casino the entire time, you're definitely going to lose some money. So, go see a show, walk around, do some different stuff, go to the pool, enjoy the resort. I think that's, the best part of it. I love going down to the Jack Cleveland Casino down here, which isn't really all that. So I love the gambling portion of it. But when you can really get a resort together and have, the combination of a bunch of really fun stuff to do right there, is really what I think makes the whole entertainment thing.
Sure, sure. What about you on this, Bono? What are your thoughts?
I'd be a hypocrite if I said no, being a stand-up comedian, saying that that it's not. I've seen a bunch of comedy shows at casinos. Been to Mountaineer to see John Caparulo, local guy out of East Liverpool, Ohio. Made it big at a couple of stand-up specials. Got to see him perform live at Mountaineer. A couple of MMA fights there, just in the ballroom. It's nice to go there, see a show or a fight or something like that, and then go and be able to gamble a little bit. Like Bill was saying, the hotel's right there. Then you can get something to eat, and go right to your room and call it a night. And for any casinos that are listening, I am available for booking. Yes, I'm going to shamelessly plug myself. Yeah, you can like BonoComedy@gmail. Hit me up. I'm always down to perform in a casino. But yeah, I love them. I've been to a couple of them, and it's always a good time every time I've been to one.
Sure. And I think they are cool too. And I think it brings a different type of crowd in, right? It's not bringing like your typical people who want to gamble, right? It's bringing people in for the food, for the entertainment. I mentioned I don't really go to casinos, and I mentioned about going to Northfield. A couple of years ago, my wife and we went to see Dancing with the Stars was on tour. So we went to Northfield to see that, which was cool. Like we got dinner ahead of time and just went. But we did that there. I know like my mom and my sister have been to concerts at Northfield. I know Bono mentioned it, seen the MMA fights at Mountaineer. Now, I've never been to that, but I know Bono was there. I know our former guest of the show, Roger, has been there. Tony, the Latin Assassin, fought there, and a lot of the guys from Upgraded Industries that were on the show have been there as well. Former guest of the show, world champion middleweight fighter Kelly Pavlik, fought a lot in Atlantic City back in the early and late 2000s to 2010s. He's actually in the Atlantic City Hall of Fame, and there's a ton of boxing matches out in Vegas. So yeah, I do think it's really cool to have a lot of these different fights and performances at the casinos. I just think it brings in a different type of crowd who spends money in a different type of way. And as we all know, the casinos are all about the bottom line and the profit. So, which brings me to this. What is the hardest game to win at the casino? And you can only pick one. But what would you say is the hardest game to win at the casino? And I'm going to say it's probably roulette. That's my opinion. But John, what would you say?
Well, of the games that I've played, I would have to say it depends on your style of play because roulette you can bet odd, even, black, red. So you could be very conservative with that. Uh, Blackjack is tough because it's so rapid fire. Like you could just get overwhelmed, and if the cards aren't going your way. So, but I'm a craps guy, and I would have to say of the three there with roulette, craps, and blackjack, I would lean towards craps because the dice, depending on how you bet, seven kills the game, and that comes up obviously more just as the combinations are equal to like 6 and 8 and all that. So craps to me is a tough game to win because there's so many options out there on how to bet. It kind of plays with your mind a little bit. It's not so simple. So craps to me would be my take.
Okay. Okay, that's a good one. Bill, what would you say?
I should say blackjack for as much money as I've lost doing it, but uh, I I think it is the slot machines. I think that's by the numbers the worst odds out there, and then in general, I feel like I really never went at that one. So we'll say the slots. I think it's like John was saying, a poor man's game or poor woman's game, and over time you're going to lose there the more you play. So we'll say slots.
Okay. Bono, what are you saying? What's the hardest game to win at the casino?
I know I talked about it earlier in winning big at it, but I have to say roulette. I know you can be conservative, like John said, bet odds, even black, red, and win small amounts here. But if you're talking about winning big, roulette you can win big there, but I'd say just the odds are stacked against you with the wheel and everything like that. Perhaps I just don't understand to play to know how hard or how easy it could be, but just to break up and not say the exact same thing as John, just because I don't understand craps, I'd have to say roulette, just because the sheer odds are against you.
Okay. Okay. Now that's a great segue into the next question and the final three, which have to do a little bit with casinos, but we're going to have some fun with them. So, the next question is, and Bono, I switched this too. So, this is something that wasn't even on the original questionnaire. But in your opinion, what's the best movie about gambling in casinos? Now, I'm going to just throw some out there, and we have some different ones, right? We actually have Casino with Joe Pesci and Robert De Niro, Sharon Stone were in that. You have Vegas Vacation with Chevy Chase, right? You have the movie Rounders. You have the Oceans series, 11, 12, and 13. Or there could be another one too. What would you guys say is the best movie about casinos and gambling? But I'm going to start, and I'm going to say probably the movie Casino, because that was like prime Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci and Sharon Stone. And that movie was definitely something that was a true story about the betting and Ace Rothstein and the Italian mafia and the corruption that brought down the individual owned casinos and brought in the mega corporations to own them. So I think Casino is definitely probably the best movie about gambling and casinos. But John, what are you saying? Do you have a favorite one that stands out?
Oh yeah, once you mentioned that, Johnny, I immediately thought of this is a not a well-known movie, but it had a pretty good cast. Let It Ride was a great movie Richard Dreyfuss was the star of the movie, and he was awesome. It was just your degenerate horse racing movie. And I think it took place maybe at Santa Anita or something. At least that's what they portrayed in the movie. But I loved that movie. It is so funny. Terry Garr was in it, who was in Mr. Mom, Young Frankenstein. And you may not even remember, but Buster Poindexter, I think his name was. He had like one hit back in the day. But Let It Ride, I think it was like maybe early mid 80s. And it was just a guy that was down on his luck. Richard Dreyfuss was just, his marriage was going to hell. And he just went to the track one day and couldn't, everything he did hit. Like he would go around asking all the people out there, what horse you like? He had a program. He was asking, what horse you like? He would check it off. And then it would be down to the last horse. And all the ones that the people picked, he didn't pick. He picked the one that no one picked, and it won. And he went into the barn area, and one of the horses winked at him, and he bet that. It was just well done. Just reminds me of how superstitious gamblers are and all the stuff that they reach for to get lucky. And I thought that was a great movie. So if anyone, if you want to burn an hour and a half or 2 hours, and one of those apps has to have it, Let It Ride is a funny movie.
Okay. Bill, what are you saying? What's your answer to this question?
Yeah, I want to say I feel like I haven't watched all that many casino movies, but I'll say Uncut Gems with Adam Sandler. I think a really good one. He does his thing in that movie. A little bit of weird photography, in my opinion, with the camera kind of moving around a little funky in that one, but thought it was a well done movie. Love Adam Sandler. And again, I haven't really watched a ton of them myself, so maybe that one by default.
Okay, Bono, what are you saying here for favorite casino movie?
Been racking my brain about what the name of this damn movie is, and I can't think of it. I think it's 21 is the name of the movie. I'm pretty sure it's a true story about I believe it was Harvard found a bunch of students that basically could figure out how to count cards, and they would go to Vegas every weekend and just take down Vegas in blackjack because they were counting cards. It's a phenomenal movie. Just the acting is great, and I think it shows kind of like how Oceans did a little bit, but how you can kind of figure out like how people are trying to take down Vegas and trying to to come out on top, which I mean, the casino's goal is to make money, and it shows how you can beat it. But just the intricacy of like the depth they went through to like hand signals to people sitting at the same table, and just to throw everybody off. It was a very well made movie, and I think the name of the movie is 21, but I could be wrong with that. But that's pretty much the premise of the movie. It's a great one for anybody that wants to just know the ins and out of what security at casinos are dealing with and trying to find they're cheating them.
You know what? I did see that movie. It was like a group of like 8 of them or something like that. And I don't remember the name of it either. But yeah, they took the casinos to the cleaners on that movie. So, but I can't remember the name of it either. We'll have to look that up and get back to one another. So, but all good, all good movies there for people to kind of think about. But I'm surprised nobody said Vegas Vacation with Chevy Chase when his son said his name was Papa Giorgio, and he was like 16 years old, and he took the casinos to the cleaners on that one too. So Papa Giorgio, that's so funny. Vegas Vacation throwback right there. So, second to last one. So, football season's upon us right now, and college football season is starting. And Ohio State is the reigning national champions. So, to all the gamblers out there and the people wanting to place wages on odds, John, what odds do you give Ohio State for repeating as the national champions this year?
Tough to repeat. And funny you mention that, Johnny. I was visiting my mom today, and I thought about the fact that we open up against Texas, and of course we close against those buggers down north. The Wolverines, I can see Ohio State having an off year. I actually took them for under 10.5 wins. So if I'm doing that, I'm not liking their odds to repeat. I would love them to do it. I hope they prove me wrong, but I'm going to go a little negative with Ohio State this year because I don't even know who in the heck their quarterback's going to be. Honest to goodness, I don't know who their quarterback is, and that's not a good situation to have if you're looking to repeat as a national champion. You have to have a solid quarterback, and I think that's going to be a weakness for them. So,
Okay.
love my Buckeyes, but not feeling good about them this year.
Okay. All right. Bill, what odds are you giving Ohio State to win the national championship this year?
Yeah, I'd love to give pretty good odds. I'm about as big as a Buckeye fan as there is out there. Love that we already got the national championship last year, so I won't be greedy. I don't think we're the favorite at all. I think we have a good team coming back, but like John said, with the quarterback up in the air, a little bit tough to really have a ton of confidence. But I think we'll be good again. I do think we'll be in the playoff again. And once you get in there, you never know what happens. So, big fan of the 12-team playoff. I do think they find their way in there, and hopefully we can make another run this year. But definitely wouldn't say they're the favorite.
Okay. Bono, are you giving odds on Ohio State repeating as a national champion? And if so, what are the odds?
I'm not. I'm not a huge Buckeye fan, but I am a sports fan in general. Like John was saying, who the hell is their quarterback this year? You know, losing Will Howard to the Steelers and everything like that in the draft. I don't think that Ohio State is built to repeat. I think they make a deep run in the playoff. I don't think they get to the national championship. That just somehow, some way, this team finds a way to be relevant at the end of the season and make their way into the playoff. With the 12-team playoff, they definitely will make it into that, I think. But, you know, you lose to the Wolverines 4 years in a row. I don't know how Ryan Day still has a job with Columbus in the way that they value beating Michigan over everything. But, it's just tough to repeat in college football with the way it's formatted. I don't think they repeat, but I think they make a deep run.
Okay. I'm giving Ohio State 25-1 odds to win the national championship again. So I will place that out there. 25-1 odds Ohio State wins the national championship again, and probably 5,000-1 odds Hawaii go Bows win the national championship. But I got to throw Hawaii in there for a plug with them being a big fan. But 25-1 Ohio State, I'll say, wins the national championship. All right, final question, and it's the best question. Which casino has had the best food that you've eaten at? So it can be a particular restaurant, a buffet, anything, food that you've ordered. Out of all the casinos that you've been, what place had the best food? And I'll start this one because it's reflecting back to Taco Bob in going to Erie. When we went to Erie, Bob said the Erie casino has a great midnight buffet. The midnight buffet started at 12:30. We had it. It was wonderful. I was eating sweet and sour chicken, and I was eating sausage links with gravy, and there was syrup, and there was pancakes, and then there was bacon, and they had like club sandwiches. It was a great buffet. Not so great though at like 2 a.m. At the casino. You want to eat that like maybe in the afternoon, not at 2 a.m. But it was an awesome buffet. So I'm saying Erie, PA's buffet about 15 years ago. But John, what's that one place where the food stands out to you as the best?
I would definitely go buffets as well. And back in the day, early days of Vegas, when they were actually generous with their food prices, like Harrah's, that part of the strip, by like Caesars, I would say the buffets in Vegas were just amazing. You could just feast, and it was like for under $20 back in those days. But probably Harrah's on the strip was a pretty much a go-to where you could just eat and you would be satisfied to be able to have some drinks and do your gambling and not feel hungry like the whole day. So that's what I can remember. Not a big restaurant type guy. You know, there's so many nice places in Vegas to go to with 5-star places, but that's not me. I'm very simple when it comes to meals, but a Vegas buffet, you can't beat it.
Okay. Okay. Bill, what are you saying here?
I really don't even know where to start here. I am the big restaurant guy at the casinos in Vegas. I love going. Only been a few times out there, but I live in luxury a little bit. I go to the steakhouses. I go to the Carbones, the Carmines, try and get the reservations to the really nice places out there. Really, I think all of them, all the casinos do a really good job. I don't think if you go to a casino on the Strip, you're not going to find a few of the 5-star restaurants and really good ones. So can't say I've done a ton of buffets. I've never really eaten much at the Cleveland casino. Pittsburgh one, really none of them stand out to me other than really just the Strip in Vegas and the restaurants out there just being crazy in general. So don't have one in particular, but the restaurants on the Strip in Vegas are the best ones around.
Okay. And Bono, what are you saying on this? Round us out.
Restaurants and steakhouses, I got to go back to Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and the Hollywood Casino. They have a phenomenal steakhouse there. Best steak I've ever had. Cooked perfectly every time. Everything else was phenomenal service and everything like that. But if we're going buffets, I gotta say Mountaineer in Louisville, West Virginia. Just the buffet there is phenomenal. You can't go wrong with it. A lot of options. I mean, everything from breakfast, the dinner foods, you know, it's just everything just hits differently. I don't know if it's by the time it opens up, everyone's a little sauced up from getting the drinks at the casino and everything just tastes better. But I got to go with the buffet at Mountaineer, but steakhouse at the Hollywood Casino in Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
Okay. Very interesting on that. Most people probably don't realize that the casinos have great buffets too and great restaurants. But that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Ride Home Rants podcast. I'd like to thank, of course, your typical host with the most, Mike Bono, for jumping on as a guest and flipping it over to Fitty here to be the host for this show. Mr. Willoughby and Menor himself, you know, John, thank you for coming on and sharing your wisdom about your many travels to Vegas and sharing about March Madness. And of course, West Side Bill coming from the west side part of Cleveland here, sharing everything about his trips as well, all over to the casinos and sharing about that journey. So thank you so much, guys, for coming on. We really appreciate it. As always, you know, definitely check out our individual shows. All these guys have been on for individual shows. You know, Bill's been on also for a lot of roundtables. So check out those former roundtables. So definitely check those out. Check out our past shows from season 5 here. And of course, check out seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4 as well. Also, make sure you're peeping all the sponsors in the pre-roll and the post-roll. These are all small business owners who have contributed to the show in great ways. Bono and I could definitely not have the show without them. And of course, all of you listeners. So as always, if you enjoyed the show, be a friend and tell a friend. And if you didn't like the show, tell them anyways, because I bet they like it just because you didn't. This is Fitty signing off, and we'll catch you next week.
The Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by Dubby Energy. Energy drinks made for gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. For gamers, streamers, and podcasters alike. Go to the link in the description where you can find the best energy drinks out there. Less caffeine than a cup of coffee. Also, no jitters and no crash afterwards. Use the promo code Mike Bono and get yourself 10% off. Also, the Ride Home Rants podcast is brought to you by my favorite sponsor of the show, and that is Shankit Golf. Golf apparel made for the everyday golfer. We might not go out and shoot a 6 under par. We're probably going to shoot a 6 over par, but this is going to give us the gear that's going to help us rocket on and off of the course. Go to the link in the bio, use the promo code Mike Bono, and get yourself 10% off there as well.